A very good afternoon to everyone, and thank you first of all for giving me this opportunity to deliver a lecture on a reproductive right of women, which is one of the essential right, but many of us actually not aware of this thing that we too had this reproductive right under Indian law as well as in international law also. So, as ma'am has briefly tell you that I had a research experience in this women-related issues and women-related laws. So first of all, while starting this topic regarding the reproductive right of a woman, first we have to understand regarding what actually health means. Because when we talked about reproductive right of a woman, it's actually related to right to health. So first, if you understand the importance of right to health, then only we will be able to understand the reproductive right of women. So starting with the first slide, that is right to health. So whenever we talked about right to health, the first definition which is given by WHO relating what actually health means. So WHO specifically says that if a person if a person doesn't had any disease or if is not suffering from any kind of disease, it doesn't mean that a person will be healthy, because healthy means the surrounding, the physical as well as the mental well-being. If the surrounding where you are staying, if that is sufficient for a healthy well-being for a particular person, then only we can say that a particular person is a healthy. But if you are staying in your home, you are there is nothing, you are not having any kind of financial issue, you are not having kind of any other issues, but your surrounding, your neighborhood, the society where you are staying, that is creating so much chaos that you are somewhere you are feeling not good. So it means that your health is suffering that. So the health doesn't means that only when you are not suffering from any kind of disease, it means a healthy. And WHO has particularly it has clarified also that when we talked about right to health, so it's a duty of the government, it's a duty of the state to provide every sufficient measure for the society where a person can be say that okay, now they are healthy. They have to government have to provide like all those things which is required for a particular person to stay healthy life, like water, drinking water, safe drinking water, sanitation, food, housing facility, medical facility. So all these are actually required by a person to stay healthy. So it's a duty of the government to provide all those benefit to a person so that a person can say that yes, he or she is a healthy person. Now, as I say that the WHO has clearly said that it's a duty of the state to provide all those facilities. So when we talked about our Indian constitution, in Indian constitution, we too had directive principle of state policy where the government has been, there are many duties where the government has to do for the welfare of the state. Because when we talked about welfare of a state, it says that whether a person is a poor, whether it's a person is a rich, or for which social background there, what is the caste, what is the religion, nothing will matter when it comes about the health of the society, health of the citizen of the India. So it's a duty of the government to provide every safe measure for the public benefit, for the public welfare of the the people. The next thing is that whenever we talked about public welfare, we talked about health. At the same side, it's a duty of the state to check that no one health or no one body or no one right should be abused, because when you abuse someone right or when you do such kind of thing, it automatically affect the health of the person also. Either it can be physically, it can hamper their health, or it can mentally, they can hamper their health. Because as we all know that in factory act, if you are a student, you might be aware or not, I don't know, you have read the factories act or not, but in factories that there are certain provision which has been kept particularly for the women, that there should be separate toilet for the women worker, and and proper ventilation should be there. Even if the number of ladies are more in that crèche facility should be there. So these are some kind of measure which the government has to take care when it comes about when we talked about right to health. Because in the directive principle state policy, there are article 30, 38, 39, 41, and 47. I'm not going to discuss entirely about this article because as I'm supposed to speak about the reproductive right, but to understand the reproductive right, we have to know about this thing also. So I'm just touching the core of this, just slight information regarding the DSP. So these are some of the article which has been kept purely where that states should provide all this facility to the citizen, so that they can be safe. They can have this, safe, secure environment, and they should have the, you can say that they are actually healthy also. So another thing is that apart from this directive principle of state policy, there are other articles like in Schedule 11 and 12 schedule also. Certain duty has been given to the panchayat and municipality in terms of providing clear, clean drinking water, adequate healthcare and sanitation, primary healthcare center for the, for the society members or for the village people, so that they can have the, they can stay healthy there. Now, apart from the directive principle state policy, if we talk about right to health under Indian Constitution, so you will be surprised that we don't have any particular article for right to health. There is no particular right relating to right to health under Indian Constitution. But judiciary, while interpreting many judgments, it has says that Article 21, which speaks about right to life with dignity, actually includes right to health in itself. Because there is a case where the court has said that in Francis Curly Mullin versus the Administrator, Union Territory of Delhi, here the court has said that the expression of life in Article 21 means a life with human dignity and not mere survival or animal existence. So when we talked about right to life, it doesn't mean that right to life means only the mere existence, because you can see a dog in the street, they are also spending their life, but whether we can spend our life in the road, whether we can stay like them, no, it's not possible. Because when we are a human, we had certain requirement, we had certain basic requirement for our right to life, and that is the main thing, that is the thing which is required for a healthy life. That's why I say that medical facility, drinking water, house, clothes, these are the basic facility. If you are getting this facility, it means physically, mentally you will be healthy. But if any of these things are missing, for example, medical care is not providing to you, it means somewhere you will feel, whenever you will feel any kind of disease or not feeling, you are not feeling well, and if you're not getting this right of medical facility, then how you can say that you are healthy? So that is the reason it says that the expression life in Article 21 doesn't mean only that a mere existence. So Article 21 in itself is a vast, and it includes this right to health also. Now, coming to other, there are many other cases like in Permanent Khatra versus Union of India. Here also the court says that it's a responsibility of the doctor of a government hospital that they have to perform their duty irrespective of whatever the circumstance. And another case, important case law relating to right to health under Indian Constitution's Paschim Banga Khet Majur Samiti also, which is state of West Bengal, where the court has says that it's the responsibility of the government to provide medical aid to every person of the society, because it's a part of the welfare scheme, and medical facility is one of those welfare schemes where every person should get the right to get medical assistance. Another important case of relating to right to health is Consumer Education and Research Center versus Union of India. Here the court has says that it doesn't mean that if you are in government job, till government job you will get the benefit of the medical assistance, and once you get retired you will not get it. That is not a scenario. Even if you are working or if you're not working, you had a right to get the government medical benefit. So these are some of the landmark judgment relating to right to health, where the court has says that even though we don't have a particular provision, particular article relating to right to health, but Article 21 in itself speaks about right to health, and these are the cases where the court has says that Article 21 also speaks about right to health. So if any one of you are preparing for judiciary or any competitive exam, so these are some of the cases which will be beneficial for you, because sometimes it asks that whether we had any particular provision relating to right to our health. So in that case, you have to cite these cases where you can mention that although we don't have any particular article for it, but yes, in many judgment, court has said that Article 21 itself speaks about right to health with the help of this following judgment. Now, coming to reproductive health. So as we have seen that when we talked about right to health, it doesn't mean that mere absence of any disease means you are healthy. So but when we talk about reproductive health, so reproductive health particularly speaks about it's a pregnancy, childbirth, then STD, all those things comes under reproductive health. And reproductive health is also one of the basic human right. It's also one of the basic human right of women as well as of men. But I am focusing here about the women because This is one of the health issue, or reproductive right is one of the legal issue where it has been seen in worldwide that these reproductive health and reproductive women are mostly violated. And particularly if we talked about developing country, in developing country, these issues are highly, there are many cases where it has been seen that reproductive health and reproductive rights of the women, particularly in developing country, their health and rights are violated here due to many kind of government action, you can say, or many other issues are there. So when we talked about reproductive health, actually, it was for the first time in the entire world in 1994 during International Conference of Population Development. That is, in short, we call it as a ICPD. This is for the first time in the world the concept of reproductive health was emerged, and it was for the first time it was discussed in international platform that what actually reproductive health means. And in this particular ICPD program, they have stated that reproductive health means it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being in all matters related to reproductive system. Now, as of now, we have seen the WHO says that in definition of right to health, we have seen that WHO speaks that right to health means that any kind of, if there is if the person is in mental, physical, or as well as social well-being state, in that case we can say that he is perfectly well-being, he is perfectly healthy. The same things apply in reproductive health also. It says that anything which is related to your reproductive system, which is related to a reproductive system, if you are getting the facility or information relating to a reproductive system, or if you are in a society where your reproductive health has been taken care, that is actually reproductive health, and that is actually, you can say, a proper. In proper, you can say, as a layman, we can say that if you are getting all the information, medical facility, medical benefit for your reproductive well-being, you can say that you are in a right society, or you can say that your government has taken care of your reproductive health. But if we talked about reproductive health in Indian scenario, so there are many situations. I think many of you have encountered also. Like if you go to the most populated state, for example, metropolitan city, I can share one incident with you here. So at that time, I was just a law student. I have done my graduation from Calcutta University, and it was a morning time when I was going for my regular class. At that time, I have seen one lady. She was delivering a child in roadside. There was no one nearby her. She has delivered a child in front of everyone in the roadside. So that is not, you can say that is not a right, if we talked about reproductive health. So that incident, which I have seen there, that is actually violative of her right. That is not a wait for giving birth to a child in open road. So these are the scenario, these are the example which shows that even though we are in a society where we talked about reproductive health, we talked about right to health, but there are many scenarios, there are many cases where you can find out that still now most of the women in India or in other part of the world also, they are not having this basic right of medical facility, you can say. They don't have the basic right of living also, living in the sense, proper food, clothing, and shelter. So when we talked about this reproductive health, actually, reproductive health, there actually it consists of 5 components. Reproductive health consists of 5 components itself. The first is the contraceptive service. Reproductive health says that every person, whether it's male or female, they had a right to know every kind of family planning devices or contraceptive device which is available in the market scientifically which is available in the market for their benefit, for the family planning. The next thing, important component for reproductive health is that every lady, after delivering the child, the newborn baby has a right to get proper medical care, because as you know that even immediately after giving birth to a child, the child should get all the life-saving vaccine. For example, polio is something which is given immediately after giving birth to a child. So these are some of the care which every child must have immediately after the birth. The next important component of reproductive health is STD, the sexual transmitted disease. So whenever a person is suffering from any kind of STD or STI, in that case, that person has a right to get medical assistance. Because many of you are aware of the thing, and you know, or you heard, have seen such a documentary, movie articles. Even many Bollywood movies are also based in this, where a person immediately after diagnosing that he or she is suffering from HIV, they were terminated from their job. They're terminated from their job. So I've said that if a person is suffering from STD, doesn't mean that he has become untouchable or he will not get any benefit from the society. So it's being a member of the society, even it's a responsibility of the government to provide every medical facility and to eradicate any kind of misconception relating to STD in the society. So these are the two responsibilities of the state to provide medical facility to the person who is suffering from STD, as well as at the same side, the government or the state has a duty to eradicate all kind of misconception relating to STD. The fourth important component is that every lady, even if she is suffering from HIV, in that case also she has a right to get proper medical benefit, not only for her but for her unborn child also. So when we talked about medical care for a pregnant lady, it says that either if she's suffering from any kind of STD or not, but she had a right to get the medical benefit. And in that right, it says that even if she's suffering from HIV or her child is suffering from HIV, both mother and child, they should get the proper care. And the last important component relating to reproductive health is pregnancy and delivery care. So till the time of conceive and even after the giving birth to a child, the entire duration, a lady had a right to get proper medical advice, treatment, or all kind of information which says that what you have to do for to get a proper healthy child and to deliver a proper healthy baby. So these are five important components relating to reproductive health. Now, another important thing is that whenever we speak about reproductive health, actually, if we talked about in this scenario or even in other part of the world also, reproductive health has been always linked with some kind of policy. When I talked about policy, if I talked about Indian scenario, we had family planning policy, 5-year family planning policy that was started from 1950s. So all these five components of reproductive health has been associated to reproductive health policy, associated with this 5-year family planning policy in India. Because in every 5-year planning policy, you will find that certain discussion has been made for the maternal health care, certain discussion has been made to provide medical benefit for this newborn baby, and family planning for this contraceptive service. All this thing has been discussed in 5-year family program in India. Now, as we have discussed about reproductive health, now reproductive right, because now we have seen what reproductive health means. We have discussed about the 5 components of reproductive health. So reproductive right means whatever we have discussed in reproductive health, that is your right. That is your right. Right to get medical benefit during your delivery, that is your right. If you are suffering from any kind of STD, right to get medical benefit, that is also your right, comes under reproductive health. So all the 5 components which we have seen or discussed in reproductive health, that is actually your right. And every person has a legal right, and you can say freedom, have all those components, get the benefit of all those components from the government. Because whenever we talked about family planning, or whenever we talked about giving birth to a child, we always say that it's a decision of the particular couple, it's a decision of the lady or the husband or the couple, that they have to take the decision that how many child they want to give birth, or spacing, you can say that. And also you have seen that nowadays there is a discussion in the society, medical sector actually, that now cesarean baby has been increased. Now most of the doctor they generally do the C-section for delivery. That is also one kind violation, because C-section always had kept a negative impact in the health of the lady. So this is also one of the concerns. So when we talked about delivery of child, having a baby through C-section or normal delivery, that is also that should be your choice. You should not be forced for that. Now, coming to this reproductive right, as I say that whatever component we have discussed in my previous slide, that is actually your right, and it should always be given freedom to the person to discuss, to get informed about all those things, and to discuss about the decision that when to have a children, when to not have a children. Also, they had a right to get all those information, education related to all healthcare facility related to reproductive health, because these are something which is necessary for them for the family planning and for their for to take care of the reproductive health also. So when we talked about reproductive right of a woman, it has been seen that it is one of the right which has been violated in every country of the world. Now, if we talked when we talked about this woman reproductive health or woman reproductive right, the first important point here is that a woman must have a right to decide freely the number of child, spacing, and timing for their children. That should be the first right of a woman to decide that when to have a children, how many children, and the time gap, the gap between the children. The next, another important point here to cite is that every woman must have a right to get the decision, right to get the information relating how they can maintain this gap, or what are the medical benefit or medical facility which she can take to achieve her the gap between these children, or to get a medical benefit or medical assistance for that. The next here important point is that attain the highest standard of sexual and reproductive health. This speaks about the physical, mental, and social well-being of a lady. The next important point is that the attain the highest standard of sexual and reproductive health. So when we talked about the highest standard, it means that it talks about all those medical facility, mental well-being, or social facilities for a lady to stay healthy in terms of their reproductive health. Like I have given an example, if a lady is working in a factory, I say that she has a right to get a separate washroom. That is the you can say that is also related to the reproductive health, to get a proper or separate washroom for the ladies. So these are some of the things where we say that for a lady to attain the highest standard of sexual and this reproductive health being, it's necessary that they should get every right which speaks about the physical, mental, and socially where they can stay healthy for their sexual and reproductive right. Now, another important point here is that make a decision about their reproduction free of discrimination, coercion, and violence. So this is another important point, because we all have seen this China one child policy. We are aware of it actually, and even India is also preparing one population control policy where they are saying that after 2 births we are not supposed to give birth to a third child. So wherever we talked about giving birth to a child, as I say that in the international level, it has been said that it should be the woman right to decide that how many child she want to give birth to a child. If she is not eager to give birth to it, that's fine. If she want, it should be her choice to give birth to a child. There should not be any coercion. There should not be any coercion or violence for that, because during there was a time in India where during fifth or sixth family planning policy, when the government was supposed to control the population at that time during sixth family planning policy, they have introduced the concept of NRR of 1. NRR of 1 means net reproductive rate. NRR means net reproductive rate of 1, which says that, and it was introduced in India during sixth family planning policy actually, and it says that, it speaks that if a lady has given birth to a one female child, she is not supposed to give birth to another female child. So entirely in her entire life, a lady are supposed to give birth to one female child only. That is the meaning of net reproductive rate of 1. For example, if a lady has married to A, and during her marriage she has given birth to C, and C is a girl child. If A dies, or if A is divorced, then if she marries to some other person, in that case also she is not supposed to not give birth to a female child. So these are some kind of coercive action. So that should not be happen. That should not be happen. You are not supposed to get any kind of pressure on the lady for giving birth to a child, or to that decision for giving birth or the choice should be entirely for the woman. It should not be, the other party to discuss or to decide actually. Now, as we have discussed that these are some of the, component, and these are the right which the lady should have. Now, to have this right, to enjoy this right, it should be the duty of the government and the community or the society to sponsor policy, to frame policy, you can say, to frame program which will be beneficial for the lady in terms of the reproductive health. Because at the end, it's always the government who will provide you all those information, will provide you all this medical facility to define policy, to define, laws. And also, this important thing is that that every government should consider this right, because that is also equally important. Because if you don't consider reproductive right is one of the essential right of a woman, in that case you will fail to provide justice to the ladies whenever their right will be violated. So this is equally important that government should understand the importance of this right so that they can create policy relating to this right or the benefit of the ladies. Now, women's sexual and reproductive right. This is another important topic here when we talked about reproductive right, because when we talked about reproductive right of women, it has been seen that women's sexual right are basically this right has been hampered. And in 1981, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which is in short we call it as STDO, they have, and India was also one of the member of STDO actually. This is the first international forum where it says that women should get equal rights like men on equal terms in terms of reproductive health actually. Why this STDO is important to to discuss here is that because when during this during second wave of feminism, when in America first when the women they have fought for their reproductive health, during that time, during second wave feminism, it has been seen that when the Second World War, many family these devices, contraceptive devices, have been given to the male who are serving for the nation as an army. They have been given these devices so that they can protect themselves from the STD. But these benefits were not given for the ladies. Why? Because at that time there was no law, there was no discussion on this thing. So there was a discrimination between the male and female to enjoy of the reproductive or to have the access of this reproductive health measure. So that was the thing. It was discussed in STDO that every woman and male, they should have equal rights in terms of the reproductive health, in terms of the reproductive right. There should not be discrimination between male and female in terms of reproductive right. And because of that reason only, in ICPD, they have says that the family planning policy that which the countries they are developing in their in their policies, in their laws, they have been asked that you should frame policies in such a way that both the male and female they can enjoy their right. They should not fix, the policy should not be like that the individual they should get the freedom of it. State should not frame policy in such a way that it should act like a coercion. Like I have given the example of NRR1, that is a coercive action, because there the individual they don't have a right to have the the decision whether they want one girl child or two girl child, because that is a coercive action done by the government to create or to introduce this NRR1. That is actually violation of their reproductive right, violation of reproductive right of the male as well as of the female. Now. As we have seen that in reproductive health, there are 5 components. The same thing applies in reproductive right also. When you talked about women's sexual and reproductive right, this right also includes some other rights in it. And this right is equally important in terms of reproductive right. The first thing is right to equality, right to privacy, right to education, right to liberty, right to safe access to healthcare, right to free from any violence, right to abortion and reproductive health information and service, etc. So all these rights, what I have discussed right now, it's a part of reproductive right. It's a part of women's sexual and reproductive right. Hamper of any of this right means it's a violation of reproductive right of the woman. It's a violation of reproductive right of the woman. And one of the most violative right among these is the right to abortion. That is a common right which has been seen in the entire world, that this right has been commonly violated because there are many countries who don't have these laws relating to right to abortion, or even if they had, that is actually restricted. Now, some of the international convention on reproductive right, as we have discussed, now there are many international platforms where reproductive health and reproductive right has been discussed, and many laws has been framed in international level also. Among that, these are some of the common, or you can say important laws which speaks about or deals about reproductive right. The first is the International Conference on Human Rights, that is in 1968, where the United Nations has discussed about the reproductive right for the first time. If question comes that when for the first time reproductive right has been discussed, then the answer will be that International Conference on Human Rights during 1968. The next is the International Covenant of Economic, Social and Cultural Rights of 1968, 1966 is and this is also regarded as one of the vital convention with respect to reproductive health and reproductive rights. Here, both the reproductive health and reproductive right has been discussed. The next is the Proclamation of Tehran, 1968. In this conference, it has been discussed that parents have a basic human right to determine freely and responsibly the number and spacing of their children. So this was for the first time it has been said that it should be the parents. So it should be the parents who have to decide about the number of child and the spacing between the children. So government should not interfere in that. It should be basically the couples who want to give birth to a child. They should have the right to decide the number of child as well as the spacing between them. The next convention relating to it is that World Conference on Human Rights, which was held in Vienna in 1993. So during this time, it was decided that in the entire world, globally, actually, in the entire world, there was a need of document where the woman's right has to be, framed. It was for the first time in World Conference on Human Rights, it has been said that there is a need of document where the woman right will be discussed in proper way. Next is the ICPD conference in 1994, which speaks about the importance of reproductive health or reproductive right in women's life, and why it is important for the society also. Another this important platform relating to this reproductive health and reproductive right is the Beijing Platform for Action of 1995, where they have discussed that human rights of women compromise right to have authority over their sexuality, reproductive well-being, free from any force, any prejudice or brutality. So Beijing platform is why it is important, because it is in this particular conference they have said that when we talked about reproductive right of a woman, reproductive health of a woman, it should be the woman itself. It should be the woman itself who has to take care, or who has to speak, or who has to control their sexuality. So if we talked about right to choice, if we talked about right to life of a woman, so in that case, it should be her only to decide it. No other person has a right to interfere in her reproductive health or decision relating to reproductive health. Now, as I said that this right to abortion is one of these rights which has been mostly violated, and unsafe abortion is one of those things. And what does unsafe abortion means? Unsafe abortion means when you are terminating your unwanted pregnancy either by yourself or with the help of an unskilled person. Unskilled person means where you are not taking assistance from a medical person, but you are taking assistance from a person who is not medical of standard. So that is actually unsafe abortion. And in entire world, it has been seen that 45% of all abortion are actually unsafe, and 97% of this unsafe abortion has been taking place in developing countries. And another thing is that in many, this survey, it has been seen that more than half of all these unsafe abortions are happening in Asia, and most of them in South and Central Asia. So these are the, scenarios of this, unsafe abortion situation in Asian countries or developing countries. And when we talked about maternal mortality rate means where a lady dies during the childbirth. So in that case, it has been seen that unsafe abortion is the third leading cause for maternal mortality rate in India. I'm talking about India, where close to 8 women each day, every day, near about 8 women dies due to unsafe abortion. Now you'll be surprised to know that how a lady can die in India, because we all are aware of it that we too had laws in India which speaks about this abortion rights. That is the Medical Termination Pregnancy Act, which I will discuss in my later slide. But the thing is that even though we had these law here, then why also the ladies in India, they are dying due to this unsafe abortion issues? Because in India, if you talk about Indian scenario, most of the pregnancy, those ladies who are dying due to this unsafe abortion practices, most are the ladies who are of minor age. They are the teenage pregnancy. And here in India, if we see when we read about this Medical Termination Pregnancy Act, there is a clause for that. If a lady is above 18 years, in that case, there is no need of guardian, consent. But if she is minor, in that case, guardian consent is required. To avoid that situation, most of the girls or ladies, what they prefer this unsafe abortion, situation. And because of that reason also, they suffer the loss. And when we talked about this unsafe abortion, so if someone is not getting the facility to have abortion, and you can say that if medically not they are not getting this right, in that case, if it will amount to be the violation of the reproductive, because we have seen the reproductive right in itself consists of many other rights, and one of those rights is the abortion rights. If someone is not getting that right in any country, in that case it will be the violation of the reproductive right. Now, as I said that in India, we too had this Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, which discussed about that how a lady can get the benefit of medical assistance to have, medically to have abortion for that. So it was first enacted in 1971, and recently in 2021, it has been amended. So if we see the condition, because it is equally important to discuss here that the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, actually, the right which has been given here, that is not a right on demand. Right on demand means whenever you will approach the doctor, they will give you the abortion service. It is not like that. There are certain conditions which has been mentioned in this Medical Termination Pregnancy Act. If those conditions are fulfilled, then only you can have the abortion under MTP Act. And all those conditions has been mentioned in Section 3 of MTP Act. The first condition is that if the if the pregnant lady is suffering from any kind of if she is not ready to give birth to a child, and because of that reason, if she's suffering from any kind of endangered thing which can which can be life threatening for her, in that case she can avail this right. Another condition is that if the unborn child, if he or she is suffering from any kind of medical issue, in that case also they can have this abortion right. Then pregnancy result from rape, or if the woman is suffering from any kind of mental disorder, in that case also she can avail this right. Then pregnancy of a minor, pregnancy due to failure of any kind of contraceptive measure used by the couples. So these are some of the conditions where a lady can approach his medical practitioner to have the abortion service under MTP Act. So that is the reason I said that the MTP Act doesn't give right on demand to the lady. Right on demand means right to have abortion on demand, but it's provide that it says that if the condition which has been mentioned in Section 3 of MTP Act, if that is fulfilled, then only the lady can have the abortion service. Now, as we have seen the condition here, so there is another important thing that the lady can avail this benefit only if the gestational limit has been, if she approach the doctor within the gestational limit, what has been mentioned in the MTP Act. So gestational limit is the pregnancy term. So if we see the recent amendment of 2021, it says that for rape victim, and for the ladies who has conceived due to any contraceptive failure, for them 24 weeks is the maximum gestational limit to approach the doctor, because within this 24 weeks, if they approach the doctor, then only they can have the this abortion service. But if they approach the doctor after 24 weeks, in that case they don't have the right, because law says that for a rape victim and for the contraceptive failure cases, they can approach the doctor within 24 weeks of pregnancy. And in case if the child is suffering from any kind of abnormality, in that case there is no such, gestational limit for them. They can approach anytime. They can approach anytime. For them, there is no any kind of gestational limit. So actually, this is for the first time in 2021 that legislation has kept separate provision for, for anomaly cases and for rape victim cases in terms of the gestational limit. Because earlier, if we see the 1971 Act, there was no such separate gestational limit for the anomaly cases and for other cases. But for now, you can find that for rape victim and for contraceptive failure, 24 weeks is the maximum gestational limit. And for anomaly cases, there is no such gestational limit. Now, there are certain cases where court has granted, the rape victim the abortion service on humanitarian ground, because the abortion service, abortion, right for the human, since rape victim, that is actually kept on the ground of humanitarian ground, on the basis of humanity. And there are certain cases, for example, Rex versus Bond is one of the landmark cases when you talked about abortion service for a rape, rape victim. Then V. Krishna versus G. Rajan alias Madhipur Rajan, Chandrakant Jayantilal Suthar versus another state of Gujarat, Halovi versus state of Madhya Pradesh. Then this is another international landmark judgment, that is LMR versus Argentina, where the Human Rights Committee held that denial of legal abortion for a rape victim inflicted physical and mental suffering, violating the woman's right to be free from torture or cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment, and her right to privacy. In this international case, court has clearly says that when we talked about abortion right of a rape victim, this is some right which should be provided to her, because it is a right letting to her privacy. And if you are, denying this right to her, it means it is you are, you are inflicting physical and mental suffering to her, because already she is a rape victim, and forcing her to give birth to a child which she conceived from the, heinous offenses, which is conceived from the heinous crime. In that case, it will be like a double punishment. It will be like a double crime for her, against her. So this thing has been discussed in international level as well as in many judgments in our own country also, where the rape victims were allowed the abortion even after the gestational limit, because already we have seen that MTP has created a gestational limit for getting the abortion right. But there are many judgments where court has given the right to get abortion beyond the gestational limit also. But apart from those cases, as I said, that the court has given judgment beyond the gestational limit, but there are many cases where the rape was confirmed. But even after confirming of the rape, the girls or the ladies, they have not get the benefit of this abortion right. And in those cases where they have not get the right, in that situation, what court has done, court has given them the compensation amount to the girl or to their family. So this is again another side of the judiciary. You can say it is another drawback of a judiciary, where in one side we say that it's the right of the rape victim on a humanitarian ground to have the abortion service, to have the abortion benefit. But in the another scenario, again there are cases where the court has simply denied the abortion service to the girl, because they have crossed gestational limit, and they have simply given the compensation to the girl or the family. Now, when we talked about reproductive right issues, so maternal mortality right, this is one reproductive right issue. Abortion is also one of the reproductive issue. Child marriage. Now you will be surprised to know that child marriage is also one of the reproductive right issue. Now, as we know that India, the population of India is increasing like anything, and we should control our population. So one of the way to control the population is that we have to reduce the age of the, we have to increase the age of the marriage, because what scientifically it has been seen that if the child age, if the younger the age, the lady will be more, reproductive, she will be more healthy, and she can give birth to many children. But if we increase the age, in that case, the reproductive control will be fine for her, because by increasing the age of the this marriage age, you can control your reproductive health also. So this marriage age and reproductive population control has a connection in that. So that is the reason, you have seen discussion in current newspaper article also. You have seen a discussion, you have seen the the debate also, that whether the lady age should be increased from 18 to 21 or no. Because now you have seen that after 30 it's really become tough for a lady for giving birth to a child, because there are many health issues which happens after 30. So it's better to give birth to a child before 30, because at that time a lady is says to be as a reproductive, she is active to giving birth to a child. After 30 also she is fine, but there are many other medical issues which connected to the reproductive health, that becomes tough for a lady for giving birth to a child after 30. So that is the reason there is a discussion that child marriage was stopped, because child marriage will continue. In that case, the number of child will also be increased. Giving birth to the number of child will also increase. Now, the coercive population control. So, like I have said that NRR1 is one of the example where the Indian government has kept just to control the population, because at that time the government were of the they have the thought, or they think that women were the main cause for population increase. So if you control the women population, in that case, automatically will control the population of India. So that is the reason NRR1 was kept at that time during this family planning policy. So, coercive population control policy is also one of the reproductive right issue. Then right to food. Right to food is also one of the thing which is this right is also concern for the government, because there are many areas where the ladies, they are suffering from anemia, or they are from poverty zone. So in that case, it's the government duty to provide sufficient nutritious food to them, so that they should not suffer from anemia. Then cruel human treatment. So this in during work, most probably in this those who are work as a daily labor factories. So in such areas, they should provide safe human, they should provide a good environment to the ladies. Because if you are not providing good environment, or if you are doing some kind of cruel to abusive environment to them, or if you are doing some kind of abuse with them, so definitely it will hamper their reproductive health and their right also. Surrogacy is one of the emerging issues related to reproductive health. That is also one of the concern related to reproductive right. Then gender-based discrimination is also another issue related to reproductive right. Okay, as you can see this slide, I have kept this conclusion, this part as a blank, because this is something which I want to know from you, that what you have learned from my lecture, how you can conclude it, because it's an online, you can see it's an online platform where I'm unable to see you, but I just wanted to know from you, because from last 1 hour I'm delivering this lecture. But now, after discussing this right to health and the Indian scenario on international level, this reproductive health, reproductive right, issues connected to reproductive right, I just wanted to know from you that how you can conclude this thing here, what you have understand here. That I want to know from any one of you. I just
Okay,
want
any
any one of
participant?
you to explain this thing. That is the reason I have kept that part blank. I
Good
think
afternoon,
Swati.
ma'am.
Good
Yeah.
afternoon.
It's a wonderful lecture. It's a wonderful lecture. I loved a lot. I enjoyed a lot of lecture. And first time I am going through this type of like I have completed my LLB graduation last to last
Hmm.
year. But this type of topic hasn't taught us in this college. So it's very new topic for me, and I as a girl I enjoyed a lot. Thank you so much for delivering. I think you are expert in this subject. Seriously.
So when we talked about right to health, right to reproductive health, right to reproductive right, all these are interconnected to each other. All these are interconnected to each other. And when we talk particularly about the reproductive right, a violation of this abortion right or reproductive right component, it speaks about, if it particularly speaks about reproductive health component, so reproductive health component speaks about both male and female. But coming to reproductive right, the component right to life, right to privacy, abortion services, all these, particularly all these things comes with the ladies only. Because we have never seen a male to approach a court that his reproductive right has been violated. It's always the woman whose right has been violated. So right to health, right to reproductive health, right to reproductive right, all these are interconnected, and hampering any one of it will automatically hamper the other component also. So whatever measures the government has to take, whatever law the government has to frame, they have to frame in such a way that every individual, whether it's a male or female, they had a right to enjoy this, they had a right to access or to right to enjoy all the benefits which is required for their, for their right to health, for the reproductive health, or for the reproductive right. Because any of this thing is violated, in that case, they had a right to get the remedy also. Because that is the reason I said now, there are cases where the rape victims were not allowed to get this benefit of abortion service under MPP Act. In that case, what the government has done, has given compensation. Although this compensation amount cannot decrease the trauma, mental trauma, or pain of a rape victim. That we all can agree. We can imagine the situation of a rape victim, that how she has gone through that offense, and again the trial scenario and giving birth to a child. That is something a different issue, which raise legal situation, that what were the rights of that unborn child if she is giving birth to a rape. There are many. You can imagine that if a rape victim is giving birth to a child, who will be the father? Obviously, it's the person who has done such a heinous act, whether he will be the father, but whether the child will get any benefit from the father property. There are many scenarios, there are many issues which is also related to this rape victim cases if the abortion service are provided to the girl. But apart from that also, there are many scenarios where, because of this non-availability of the service, the woman actually they die during the delivery process. And most probably in rural areas, still now you will find that in some parts of India, in some rural parts of India, still now the ladies, they are not having the basic medical facility also. They have to travel many kilometers just to deliver a child, and during the way they have lost their life. This is another scenario. So all those things somewhere raise the issue that government should try to frame laws or to provide medical facility to every person, irrespective of the social status, irrespective of where they're staying. It's not, all these things should be taken care, so that a person should be healthy in terms of their normal life or in terms of the reproductive health. So by this, I can conclude my lecture here. So now you can ask any query relating to my lecture or connected to it.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, Swathi.
I was just having this doubt in issues of reproductive rights. You said abortion. I was just confused. You are talking about in general abortion or a choice based abortion?
No, I have told you now that in India we don't have this choice-based abortion. We don't have the choice here. If you fulfill the condition, then only you will get the abortion, right. And that has been, this Puttaswamy, this Justice Puttaswamy case, the other case, I think. In that case also, it has been discussed that Indian women, they actually don't have this right to choice. If we talked about reproductive right now, then Indian women actually they don't have this reproductive right. On paper we have, but practically, whenever you will go for it, you will find that these rights are actually not available to Indian women. So choice-based system is not here.
Choice based abortion is issue or abortion in general is issue?
Abortion in general is issue here, you can say.
Okay.
Abortion in general is issue, because till now it's a taboo. You can't talk abortion in your family. If you have conceived and if you want to discuss with your in-law that I want to go for abortion, how they will react? You can imagine the situation here. It's a taboo to discuss abortion in front of other. And the same thing is that when we approach a doctor, the first question, if you are married, the first question you answer, why you have not used any kind of protective devices for your during your this thing. They will ask the first question, don't you think that this will hamper your right to privacy? Because if you are approaching a doctor for this facility, for this benefit, it means that mentally you are not prepared to give birth to a child. That is an unwanted pregnancy. Simple thing. You are not prepared to give birth to a child. There is no necessity to ask all this question. If a person is approaching a doctor, it means what? She is not ready to give birth to a child. That will be the simple and final thing. No need to ask a question, what measure you have taken, why you have not chosen this thing. You should go for sterilization. These are not the options she is asking from you. She is just asking for a benefit that she has conceived, and she is not prepared for giving birth to a child. That's it.
Okay. Now I got it, ma'am. Very clear. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Are there any anti-abortion organizations in India? And if so, how much danger do you believe do the anti-abortion groups pose to the furtherment of the reproductive rights movement?
Yeah, actually, if we talked about anti-abortion, this thing in entire world, there are two things which is working for this abortion's rights against abortion. That is pro-life and pro-choice. One organization says that it's the woman's right to think or to get the abortion right, and another thing is that when we talked about abortion right of a woman, actually it's hampered the right of an unborn child because every child has a right to life. So coming to this point, even in Indian judiciary also there was a one case, I'm forgetting the name of it, but in international platform and in Indian judiciary also it has been discussed, and that when we talked about this, whether a child has a right to life or not, and whenever we are offering this abortion service to a woman, in that case, somewhere you were murdering a child. That is a they have a thought that giving right to women for abortion, it means somewhere you are murdering a child because a child has a right to life. So coming to this point, I would like to say that medical fraternity. If I talked about medical fraternity, they are actually not clear till that when you talked about right to life of a child, actually in medical fraternity there is a still now it is not clear in medical fraternity that at which stage you can say that a child will become viable. A child will become viable means that upon the delivery, whether the child will survive or not. Because right now we've seen that in majority of the premature cases, for mostly in 7 months, if a child has been born in 7 months, in that case, with the help of this, medical technology, the child may survive. But in case of 5th month delivery or in 6 month premature delivery, there is chances that the child will not survive because at that time his body is not fully developed. So this is one thing where the medical fraternity is not clear that when a child will become viable in a sense when she or he will survive after the delivery in case of premature. And another point here is that if we talked about right to abortion of a lady, the first thing is that if a lady is medically fit in the sense if she is mentally fit, physically fit, then obviously thing is that she will deliver a healthy baby. And that has been discussed in Rex versus Bond case. That is a thing which has been discussed in Rex Bond case. And because of that reason only when the court was convinced by the doctor that if a lady is medically fit, then only she can deliver a healthy child, and that child will be beneficial for the country. But if the lady is not mentally fit for giving birth to a child, how you can expect that the child born for the lady will be healthy? That is another thing. Because of all those reasons, it was always says that the woman life or the woman choice must get the priority first. Must get the priority for first when we talked about right to abortion, because it's the lady who will give birth to a child. If she is mentally ready, if she is physically fit, mentally ready, and if she is willing to give birth to a child, then only she can get that. And no one should interfere in that. So these are the 2 points because of which the entire, there is a division that whether the lady should have a right or whether the unborn, child, they have the right to life or not. In between these two things, the only conclusion is that if the lady is willing to give birth to a child, then it's fine. If she is not willing to give birth to a child, in that case, it should be her choice that should get the respect, and her choice should be get protected from the law itself. I hope I have able to give you the answer.
Every human life has a right to life and dignity, Article 21. Do you agree that life in the womb should not receive human dignity?
That I have already discussed in this question also. That when you talked about this, particularly about the abortion right of a woman, that abortion right of a woman should prevail over this right to life of an unborn fetus. Maybe some of you are not, you might not agree with me, but coming to scientifically proven, survey report, scientifically proven, this study, it has been seen that it should be the woman right, we should be prevail. We should be prevail actually.
Okay. In case of fatal surgeries, the unborn child is the patient. So would you agree that they have a right to health? If so, then how can that be viewed along with the reproductive right of the mother?
Okay. This has said that under MTP Act, there is a condition that if the unborn child if he's suffering from any kind of abnormality or if there is suffering from any kind of anomaly, in that case, the mother had a right to get the abortion. Actually, in this particular, I would like to say the case of Nikita Dattar. Nikita Dattar case, that is one of the landmark, judgment in terms of this fetal anomaly. Because at that time, when during Nikita Dattar case, there was no, there was a limitation to the 20 weeks. 20 weeks limitation was there. If within 20 weeks, if you approach the court, in that case, you can avail the abortion's benefit. But right now, as I've discussed, there is no, limited gestation limited for abortion anomaly cases actually. Why, at that time when 5 months was the limitation, during 5 months, during 5th month pregnancy, certain tests are conducted. Certain tests are conducted, like anomaly scans are there. There are many, tests are there which is conducted on the pregnant lady just to check the whether the fetus are, perfectly fine or not. So in during that fifth month, if there is cases where there are some diagnoses are there where they have found that the fetus is suffering from or the baby is suffering any kind of disease which cannot get cured through treatment. In that case, if the mother or if the parent, because as we have speak about right to health of a patient of an unborn child, so that provision is there already. But what if the doctors say that the child is suffering from a disease because of which the mother health can get threatened because he or she, the child may die during any time. And during the pregnancy, it has been seen that the septic pregnancy is a case where the child have died within the womb and the mother was not aware of it. And within 1 or 2 days, the mother can get infected because of the dead child. And that can be life threatening for the lady also. So to avoid such kind of thing, many times it's the doctor who suggests the mother or the patient here means the mother. I'm not talking about the unborn fetus, that to go for the abortion. Or there are certain cases also where, like for example, the brain is not fully developed. The lung is not fully developed. So in such cases, what happens if the child is delivered, then within 1 or 2 months or within certain period after the delivery, the child may die. Or even if the parents, if they have given birth to such child, in that case, the child will be like handicapped. So that is a situation where the option is given to the parents to choose whether they want to give deliver to the child or not. And the second option is that if the situation is like a life threatening, in that case, the doctor will advise them to go for abortion service. Or the situation is like that where they can take the chance of 50-50. 50-50 means maybe by giving treatment, the child can be healthy or whatever the problem is that can be resolved. If it doesn't resolve, in that case, I have said it's a 50-50 chances. So these are the scenario.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is, would you advocate for abortion until birth? When would you put the right to life and dignity onto the child in the womb, heartbeat, brainwaves, REM movement?
If you personally ask my opinion here, yes, I can say that I am in favor of abortion right. Being a lady, if someone is approaching for this right, it means that she is not mentally prepared for it. It's a case of unwanted pregnancy. And whenever it's an unwanted pregnancy, it has been seen that a child born from that unwanted pregnancy, he is the proper care, proper love can be given to a wanted child. Wanted child means a child which the parents want to have. But for example, a child which has been born from a rape and who has not given this abortion right, if the child is born, that will be always an unwanted child for that particular family, for a society also. Because when we go for adoption in orphanage home, we don't know the child whom you were taking, whether it had born from a rape or just someone parents has died or someone has left him because he is a girl or not. You have no idea about it. But what if someone told you it's a child from a rape? He has born from this rape offense. Whether for at least for 1 second, your mind will be that why you will take a child from a rape victim? Why you will take a child from such that will appear. That is a human psychology. You cannot deny it. You cannot deny this fact. So that is the thing which I always say is that if whenever a lady is approached, whenever a lady approached to medical, practitioner for abortion, it means that mentally she is not ready for it. Yeah, you can provide a counseling just to check whether she is coming to you by force or there is some kind of coercion or just willingly she has approached you. That you can do it for your cross check. But if she is not ready to give birth to a child, in that case, her request should be, respect. That thing she must get it. So abortion right should be given on demand. That should not be on conditional basis. Because when you put conditional, in that case, many genuine cases are there which, in that scenario, because the conditions are not fulfilled, they will not get the abortion benefit. You can check the Argentinian law here, because in Argentina, they also believe the same thing, that if the lady, if they are not willing to give birth to a child, it means that she is not prepared for it. Whatever the situation is that, but law must, respect the choice. They must provide a respect for it. That should be, that should be our, we should think about it. But that is a right, because you are the person who will carry the child for 9 months. If you are working, you have to get the benefit of maternity leave, whether you will get it or not. There are many things associated with a lady. Many problems are there. So it should be always you. You have to decide, because it's your body, it's your own. It should be your choice. That thing I believe. I believe it as a lady. I'm not talking as an advocate or not as I'm an expert in this particular area. I'm not talking about being a lady. I feel that it's my home, so the decision should be mine when to give birth to a child and when not. And if I'm not prepared, then in that case, no one should force me for that, because somewhere it will hamper me. Psychologically, it will hamper me.
Yes. Good afternoon, Dr. Pyali.
Good afternoon.
In response to the to what you just shared, that abortion rights should be granted up till birth. My question to that is like, what would we say to a mother of suppose a 2-month born baby, if she at that moment decides that she doesn't want the baby anymore, then would it be right to kill her child at that moment?
No, that is infanticide. You are getting confused with abortion with infanticide. Infanticide, that is something different. We are talking about the abortion that is before giving birth to a child. That is something different. But after giving
Exactly.
birth to a child, if you are killing it, that is infanticide. That is a murder. If you don't want to, if you are unable to take proper care of the child, give the child in adoption. That will be better. But don't kill that time, because at that time the child has a separate life. He is an individual. Because if you check the definition of, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the first article says that every person has a right. Here, every person means who are the person? Those who are already alive, those who are born. A person whom you have given birth, that will be counted as a person, because he is already alive. He is in this earth. He is in this world. So he had a
Hmm.
right to get every right like us. But a person who is inside you, he is not. He is not. You have not given birth to that child. In that scenario, abortion will be applicable if you think that if the child is suffering for any kind of problem, if you are not preparing to give birth to a child, that is something different. But you have given birth to a child after 2 months, after 3 months, you are feeling that you are unable to take care of that child. Then it's better you give that child for adoption. But if you are killing him or killing her, it means you are murdering her. That is infanticide. That is another issue. That is a legal problem. That is something
Coming
different
back
from
to my
abortion.
yeah, coming back to my example, my question would be that what is the difference between suppose a 8-month baby in the womb and a 2-month baby outside the womb, a born baby? Both are growing, both are developing, both are alive. They are one is growing in the womb, one is developing outside the womb. So the same
Yeah.
solution of adoption can also be given to the mother who's carrying that baby, that after her term ends, she can give birth to that baby and place that baby for adoption.
Yeah, Rekha, that is true. But what if
Mhm.
a doctor find that during your 8-month pregnancy, if a doctor suggests you that your baby is suffering from a life-threatening disease, or if you continue your pregnancy, in that case, it may be harmful for you. Obviously, at that situation, you will go for your abortion, not for giving birth to a child. Yes or not?
I'm talking
But
about any other case.
yeah,
I'm not.
yes, yes. For any other case, I have told you. For example, during your 8-month pregnancy, certainly you have find out a financial problem has become so much problematic for that you cannot, you cannot provide a basic requirement for your baby also. At that time, no one will do the abortion. Even I will not suggest you for the abortion for that particular reason, because now after during your 8-month pregnancy, you think that you are unable to support your child, because during 8-month pregnancy, even if you go for this abortion, it will be there will be chances the child will be delivered alive. There is chances for that. There is chances for that if you does abortion during your 8-month pregnancy, because of all this thing, because you are mentally not
Mhm.
prepared for now. In that case, there is chances the child whom you will deliver, that will be alive. So it's better for that particular situation you should deliver that child and give that child for the abortion.
Yeah.
That
So
will be
I think,
better.
so
Yeah.
even I think you agree that, abortion shouldn't be legal till up to birth. That's what you do want to place some restrictions, right?
Yeah, restriction should be there. I'm not saying the restriction should not be there. Restriction should be there in terms of, welfare of the child also. But when we talk about, fetal anomaly, for fetal anomaly cases, I'm happy that now the, legislation has removed the restriction limit, because you don't know at during what stage you will find that your child is suffering from some kind of disease that you are also not aware. Even the medical practitioner, they are also not aware of it, of this thing. But in case of rape victim, I personally believe that and think that that service should be available even after the restriction limit. That is something which is very much required. You can also agree with me that trauma which the rape victim goes through it. And like the other condition, for example, for contraceptive device, failure of contraceptive device, for that it's fine if they keep the restriction limit. But what I particularly feel that during the first trimester, that is 3 months, up to 3 months, first trimester, up to first trimester situation, abortion should be given on demand. Till first trimester, abortion should be given on demand. That should not be conditional. Conditional can be done after the first trimester. That is fine. But till first trimester, abortion service or abortion rights should be given on demand. The conditional, whatever the condition has been given, that should be removed from the first trimester actually. Because if you
Okay.
remove that, in that case, the answer, and due to this MMR from unsafe abortion, that can be reduced. And even you can see result, like I have said, the government has legislation has kept condition for abortion service. Okay, but what about the emergency contraceptive pill which is available in the shop? I hope Rachel you will agree with me that government has kept this condition for abortion, but there is no such regulation to purchase emergency contraceptive pill from pharmacy. Anyone from any age can go and purchase the contraceptive pills for them. Is there any restriction? No. But why you have kept restriction for the first trimester then? If you have not kept the restriction in first trimester, you can avoid many deaths. You can save many lives from unsafe abortion actually. It was because there are cases which you can save the life of a woman just by provide, safe abortion services. When you have
Dr.
not kept
Pyali,
any restriction
yeah.
for the contraceptive devices, then you should not keep restriction in first trimester also.
Yeah, I think this discussion regarding till when abortion should be legal, when it should not be, it all comes down to the point that when does life begin in a womb?
Yeah.
And there was
Exactly.
so science is quite clear that life begins at conception. There's no doubt in that, right? Would you agree?
No, Rachel. Actually, that is the thing. Many religions believe that during it is life begins immediately after conception, and science is not still clear because science speaks about viability. Viability means when you are giving birth to the moment when you give birth to a child, whether the child will be able to survive in the environment or not. That is the reason
Yeah, I
when you
agree.
give
I
birth.
agree with
Yeah.
you that the when does life begin isn't a religious question. It is a scientific question. So science tells us that at conception, a new distinct life comes into existence, which has its own DNA. It probably is a girl or a boy. The eye color of that child is decided at that very point of conception when it is a one cell embryo, and what will be the color of their hair, the shape of their fingers, every single thing comes into existence. So it is a new life, right? The mother
Yeah, it's
cannot
a new
have
life.
two sets of DNA, so it has to be a life in order to, so then the next question comes, which life gets the right to not be killed in the womb? So if the parents are human beings, so that has to be a human being as well. And so then you have to come to this agreement that, okay, it is a life and the parents are human beings, so this life is also a human being. And then the UN declaration says this, that every human being has a right to life. So we have to, it comes down to that point that, we need to look at science, what science says. Many times I feel these discussions are very emotionally charged and it's not based in facts and what the science and philosophy say about these things. So, the bottom line comes to that, when is it a life? And if it is a life at conception, then every human life has a right to not being killed, has the right to life. And for that reason, abortion, what is an abortion? Abortion is killing that life, right? It is.
Rachel ma'am, I got your question, and I will suggest you regarding your question. I had an entire research paper in it that I have published in Thomson Reuters also. That is available online also. I will suggest you to go through my research. Whatever question you have just asked me right now, I have given the answer in that on the basis of scientific research. On the basis of scientific research, I have given the answer of that in my research work. And you can read my research work. And even after reading that work, if you have any query, you can message me. You can message me in my mail ID. I will love to give you the answer of your question. But I will suggest you first to go through my research work, whatever I have done relating to particular this question. I have already done research in right to life of an unborn fetus versus right to abortion of a woman. That I've already discussed in one of my research work. So I will suggest you please go through that.
Definitely,
Dr. You will get the answer of your question in that.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. Ma'am, thank you so much for giving us a comprehensive understanding of reproductive rights of women. It was a great pleasure having you on our platform.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you everyone for giving a valuable time to listen my lecture here. And I hope this lecture will help you in your some kind of preparation in the judiciary as well as in your academic field also.
Sure, ma'am. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.